Hi friends, welcome to the video. Today we will be going to see the practice questions and answers for full elements part 3. Friends, I would like to clear one point that the answers may vary from text to text, but the aim of this video is to make you memorize some points so that you can write and tackle any questions in the Nebosh exam. Friends, our first question is, explain the reasons why an organization should monitor and review its health and safety performance. So all organizations will monitor and review their health and safety performances. They will be keeping an eye on the health and safety performance in their company. So what are the reasons why they have to monitor and review its health and safety performance? So the answer for this question will be to identify both good and substandard health and safety practices and conditions. By monitoring and reviewing the health and safety performances, the organization can identify what all are the good and substandard health and safety practices which they are following up in their company. The second is to identify trends in relation to different types of incidents by analysis of relevant data. So you have to identify the patterns or the trends in different incidents. For example, if you notice there is a particular increase in the accidents in your company, so you have to understand that pattern or the trends, what is the reason behind that, and based on that you have to rectify the problem. So this is the reason it is very important. They have to continuously monitor and review their health and safety performance. Similarly, you can write to compare the actual performance with previously set targets. You have to make sure that in present scenario you have achieved the target and it is far better than the previously set targets. Similarly, you can write to identify whether control measures are in use, to assess their effectiveness, and to be able to make decisions on appropriate remedial measures for any deficiencies identified, which means you have to make sure that all the control measures are properly available in your company and all the effectivenesses are already assessed properly, and to make sure that there is no loophole and there are no problems existing in the company. Similarly, you have to write to identify any new or change risks in the organization. Similarly, you can write to assess the compliance with legal requirements and accepted national international standards, which means that all the legal requirements of the company, the country or the state where this organization is working is properly compliant with the international standards, with the national standards. Similarly, you can write to be able to provide a board of directors or safety committee with relevant information. Similarly, to benchmark the organization's performance against that of similar organizations or an industry norm. So you know what is benchmark. To compare, you have to set a standard and you have to compare your company's performance with your competitor. So this is the reasons why an organization should consider to monitor and review its health and safety performance. Now friends, the second question is, a series of accident has occurred. During the investigation, it is found that an inspection of the worksite had taken place before the accident. Explain the possible reasons why the inspection did not lead to an unsafe situation being corrected. Friends, we will try to understand this question, which shows already accident had taken place in a site and the inspection of the site was done before this accident happened. So the Nebosh wants you to write the possible reasons why even after doing the inspection this accident happened. Or you can say they are asking why the inspection didn't point out this unsafe situation which was there in the company, in the organization. So friends, this is a situation based question. Here the Nebosh wants to understand your concepts about this situation. So you have to write, there are a number of possible reasons why the inspection did not lead to the unsafe situation being corrected. You can write, it may have been that the unsafe activity was not taking place at the time of inspection, which means when the inspection was carried out, there was no unsafe activity present. Similarly, you can write, maybe the hazard was not obvious and consequently the inspector would not have noticed it. It may be a human error mistake. Third, the unsafe condition might have been observed but was not mentioned in the report of the inspection. So it means that the unsafe condition might have been noticed by someone or by the inspector or by the safety, but he might be forgotten to include it in the report, or it will be a human error again to include that unsafe condition into the report. Similarly, you can write, this report might not have been seen by a responsible person or had not been followed up and the corrective action taken. Similarly, you can write, there might have been a situation where the responsibility for taking the corrective action was unclear. For instance, and if there had been a number of different employees on the site. So what does it mean? It means that this situation was noticed down, but what happened is there was no responsible person to make sure that this unsafe condition was removed, or this unsafe condition was stopped, was happening to be stopped. So it may be the reason, the lack of leadership, the lack of responsible person, the authorized person, that is also another reason. Similarly, you can write finally the final point, the failure to correct the unsafe action may well have been caused by the inability of the inspector to carry out a proper inspection because of his or her lack of knowledge and competence. So what does it mean? It means the inspector who was appointed in that organization, he was not competent. He was not having proper knowledge and training to identify that unsafe conditions in the site. Now the third question is, what are the roles of workplace health and safety inspections? So the answer for this question will be, it is a general examination of health and safety performance at a particular point in time. Similarly, you can write, it may be used to improve health and safety performance within organization in a number of ways, including identifying the hazards and assessing the controls, enabling the appropriate remedial action to be taken before any accidents have occurred. This sentence means the safety inspections help us to identify the hazards in advance, helps us to take the control measures and to provide the remedial actions to make sure that no accidents happen in future. Similarly, it also shows management's commitment to health and safety and improving the morale of the workforce. You can write, it enables the involvement of workers in the management of health and safety, and if carried out on a regular basis. Similarly, it identifies the trends and weakness in the existing procedures. What are the weakness of your existing company procedures? Similarly, you can write, ensuring adherence to legal requirements and standards. Also, you can write, it helps in reviewing the previous findings and recommendations. Similarly, it helps in providing a summary report to individual managers of standards in their area of responsibility later, which they can rectify using the appropriate solutions. Now friends, the fourth question is, what are the two strengths of using the checklist when carrying out an inspection? So we will see what are the strengths of using the checklist. So one of the strengths of using a checklist is to complete a health and safety inspection of a workplace is the opportunity which is given for prior preparation and planning to be made so that inspection is structured and systematic. Similarly, you can write, an additional strength involves the degree of consistency which will be obtained by carrying out these inspections and in these areas and the issues which are to be covered. Also, a checklist can be easily adapted or customized for different areas, which results in an immediate record of findings and provides an easy method for comparison and audit. So it will be a record, written record with you. Now we will see the last question. What are the two weaknesses of using a checklist when carrying out an inspection? So we have seen the strength. Now we will be seeing the weakness of using a checklist. when carrying out an inspection? This is a very important question. So the first point will be the weakness of using such a system, however, are that over-reliance on a checklist may lead to a blinkered approach by the inspectors with the possibility that significant risks might be missed. So it means like over-reliance on a checklist will lead to negligence from the part of inspectors. They may miss the important risks because they will be totally dependent on the checklist. Second, the checklist may not be reviewed and updated to account for changes to work process or equipment. It is very important that checklists are always reviewed and updated. So if it is not, then it is again the weakness. Now you can write, there is a danger that inspection became a routine with no follow-up questions being asked, because everything is there in checklist, so there is no need of asking any extra questions. The system is too objective and restrictive with no scope for peripheral issues to be considered. Again, the whole system will be like, it will be very objective. It will be like based on the checklist only. There will be no explanations, no further scope to identify. Similarly, the last one you can write, the untrained persons might be tempted to conduct inspections, and that the procedure is subject to human error and or abuse. So what does it mean? It means if you are using continuously checklist, then the personal knowledge skills are not required up to an excellent level. Even the untrained persons will be deployed in the site given a checklist, and they will be tempted to work on the site. So it will lead to human error. Again, it will lead to the increase of risk in the work site.